Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning for myself. Welcome to Travel Tech APAC third edition. We are running already 3 years consecutive with Travel Tech, sharing knowledge and empower our travel, hospitality, and tourist industry worldwide. And today we have a great panel about guest experience. Today with us we have Avril from Review Pro, Jackie Douglas from President of hsmai Asia Pacific. We have Irene, welcome. We have Alejandro Gomez from Holibob. So thank you everybody to be here. We just missing Mr. Prakhar. I think he has a technical issue. Maybe he cannot connect. So I will start with everybody. For the public that is watching us, please, if you have any questions during the session, you can write down if you are on YouTube, if you are on Facebook, or if you are on LinkedIn. And of course, we're gonna ask your questions to Jackie, Avril, Irene, and Alejandro. So thank you very much, everybody, to be here. I would like to thank you, our sponsors. So thank you, Review Pro, thank you, Tipalti, Capsula, HS Latin, Parity Tech, Ray Tiger, and Book Online Now, and also our media sponsors, Travel Daily News, Asia, Trends Tour, Travel Tech Academy, and Diario del Hotelero from Latin America. So thank you everybody to be here. So I don't will take too much time to presentations. So I will go directly here. I will provide Jackie. Thank you to be here. It's a pleasure have you as the president of hsmai Asian Pacific and join us today. So please, you can present yourself, present hsmai and your other companies. You have 2-3 minutes. Thank you to be here.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me. Hi, everyone. My name's Jackie Douglas. I'm president of hsmai Asia Pacific. hsmai is the Hospitality Sales and Marketing Association International. It's a long, hard acronym to say, but it's a 95-year-old, nearly 100, non-profit hotel association. And it really acts like a professional society for people who work in the commercial areas of hotels. So where we focus on helping individuals keep up with the constant changes in digital and revenue management and sales, and and concentrate on getting people to help each other within the industry and help the industry do better. Personally, my background is in tech, in online customer experience in the travel and hospitality areas. I've spent many years working on e-commerce sites, booking engines, other online product development. I used to head up digital customer experience for Qantas, and we developed the first mobile strategy and product roadmap for them. And then I've worked for lots of other travel brands like Travelocity, Zuji, Voyages, Sabre, Qantas, Jetstar, Mantra Hotels Group. So lots of brands. So I've got lots of experience, and I've spent hundreds of hours watching people use travel websites. So I'm excited to be invited to this session. I love this topic.
Thank you so much, Jackie, to be here. It's a pleasure having you with us. Avril from Review Pro, Director of Sales. How you doing, Avril? Welcome to Travel Tech APAC.
Hello, hi. Thanks for having me. Nice to meet everyone. Yes, my name's Avril Carter. I am the Sales Director for the APAC region for Review Pro. So Review Pro, we've been around for over a decade, and we help hospitality businesses improve guest experience. We work globally. We work with over 60,000 hotels, accommodation providers, even destinations, and they all rely on Review Pro for measuring guest feedback and managing guest feedback. We have a range of products, and they basically help you understand and improve the guest experience across the entire guest journey. So that's our focus. We're also part of the Shiji Group, which is a global company that serves a wide range of technology needs for hospitality. And what we at Review Pro do is basically just offer the business tools to hospitality organisations to support their guests and exceed their expectations along the various stages of the guest journey. And we have a unified platform, and it includes things like hotel reputation, guest surveys, case management workflows, messaging automation as well, which is like an AI-driven automation messaging and chatbot solution. So yeah, a little bit about me. I have been with REVIEWPRO now for 7 years. And like Jackie, I've been around in the industry for quite some time, always in hospitality and travel. Worked for a number of different hotel brands in the past, including Mandarin Oriental hotels in regional in Europe, and also in the online world in OTAs with Expedia, which is now Expedia, Hotel Club that's now part of Expedia, and also TripAdvisor for some years as well. So I've kind of worked across the breadth of providers and solutions, but a lot of more recent times focused around the guest experience, and personally passionate about travel myself, and also dying to get back and start experiencing some nice guest experiences again myself when I can start traveling on holidays again.
Thank you, Avril, for your presentation. Have a huge background, as we can see. Thank you to be here with us today. Right now, I will present everybody. Welcome, Irene from the Ascott group. Thank you to be here, Irene. You're going to give you 2-3 minutes to present yourself and your companies. Please go ahead. It's your turn. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Vinicius, for having me here today at Travel Tech. It's always a pleasure and a privilege to be able to have a discussion around guest experience, and also to be able to exchange knowledge and insights and leadership thoughts about this particular topic, an ever increasing topic, I must say. So so at the Ascott Limited, I basically look at the voice of the customer program across all our brands at a global platform. And obviously, aside from guest satisfaction surveys, the usual surveys that we do, we also look at customer insights from platforms like online reviews, as well as other social media channels as well. So that's one part of my portfolio. The other part of what I do is that to look at how we drive the brand experience through our employees, so through our associates. So engaging our associates at the heart level to be able to drive that brand and customer experience is very, very important as well, because in hospitality, it's all about our people. Right. So prior to that, prior to Ascott, I was with Singapore Airlines for a number of years as well, so in various roles. So I'll keep it sweet and short. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Irene, to be here. Thank you and welcome. Right now, my big friend for long, long years, Alejandro Gomez Losada from Holibob. Welcome, Alejandro. Nice to have you here.
Thank you very much, Vinicius, and it's a pleasure to be with such lovely ladies today in this call and thought leaders for the industry. So as you mentioned, my name is Alejandro Gomez. I've been in the industry for about 22 years now, so feeling quite old. I've started my career in hotels. I work for OTAs and mostly SaaS companies in travel. Currently at Holibob, which is a travel tech startup dealing in things to do and kind of solving a big problem with experiences. And we were fortunate enough yesterday to announce our Series A. So we're very happy and very, very excited to be here and look to what we come up with, guest experience and smart destinations and hotels. I think the future is in the making. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Alejandro, to be here. So for all the attendants that is watching us in a moment, if you have any questions during the session, please write down. Like this, we can interact with our panelists today. So you have a great panelists, great executives. Don't lose the opportunity to ask them questions. So thank you so much. I will start right now with our first round of questions. So I just will remind the public today, we have guest experience on smart destinations and hotels, how to improve yourselves through guest experience. So welcome everyone. Let's start with the first questions to Avril Carter from REVIEWPRO. So Avril, how can hoteliers and destinations use guest feedback to drive sales? I'm going to repeat my questions. How can hoteliers and destinations use guest feedback to drive sales? All yours. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Great topic. We love this. There's so many aspects to this. I think firstly, to consider how guest feedback can drive and impact sales, I think it's important to understand what are the key factors that we as travellers think are most important when we're in the purchasing funnel at each stage of that journey. So we know that the top 3 things that we look at as travellers when we're making a decision about purchasing, whether it's a hotel stay or where we're going to a destination, are value, location, and guest reviews. They are the top 3 things. So it just makes absolute sense to use your guest reviews, your feedback, to encourage future guests to book with you, and take that into consideration. Consider like where will people find these reviews, have a strategy for managing them, and then also consider where you can use them to your advantage for direct sales. So, for example, by placing testimonial reviews on your own website. Also important to consider how your reviews can help set expectations that will then also influence a sale. So if you're considering testimonials on your website, for example, like I mentioned, showing, a range of feedback for different kinds of market segments and even languages will be important, because when we read reviews or feedback, we all have a natural filter to read what's relevant for us. So, for example, if I'm travelling as a family, I'll naturally be drawn to read reviews that mention that other person travelled as a family and so on, and language, etc. So having a range of those things can really help drive sales, because it creates relevant content, I should say. Another way to use guest feedback to help sales is in the analysis of your feedback. So use the analysis of your reviews across all the sentiment to understand your strengths and weaknesses, to obviously improve your operations and service that can help then grow your online reputation and increase conversions as like a cycle or a circle. Ultimately, we need to use tools to gather this data in one place and then have an understanding of what then the key priorities are. And also understanding what your guests really love about you is key to really great sales and marketing. So play to your strengths and align your sales messages to do what you do best. And on the flip side, any key weaknesses that come out from guest feedback are an opportunity, of course, to improve, but also perhaps adjust our sales messaging to set the right expectations. We can also use things like guest surveys as a form of feedback to understand if your pre-stay support and booking experience may need improvement. So it's another way to impact sales. A great example of this that we're seeing often is that hotels who specifically ask for feedback on the booking process in their surveys, so it might be a post-departure survey, but asking how was the booking experience, are getting some valuable feedback that maybe their website is lacking information. That's a common thing. Or that their reservations agents didn't have all the responses to all their questions. So then it might be time to think of ways to optimise your website, maybe to drive more bookings, like a web chat option, perhaps to chat to potential guests, or a chatbot that can help answer queries, and also help drive your sales 24/7 rather than just when you have reservations agents available. Then, of course, in sales, we always want to look at competitive insights. So use a tool to analyse the feedback of your competitors, as in the guest feedback for your competitor hotels. And your sales staff can gain really critical insight into their competitors' properties, strengths and weaknesses relative to their competitors. So that can be really used to position the hotel against competitors and develop the messaging that you need to win business. Which is really key, obviously, when you're talking to, it could be corporate clients or something like that. And then management response, a great tool. This is such a good tool. You use this space to highlight you can highlight obviously your recent investments and your strengths. I always think of management response to reviews as a really good sales communication channel. To communicate with your next guest by helping and providing information that can help convert sales. So it's really pertinent when replying to positive reviews. And it's a great idea because quite often, commonly I hear this challenge, how do we respond to positive? Because overwhelmingly most people have, majority of their reviews are positive. And the challenge to respond to those can be sometimes difficult because it's like we feel like we're just saying thank you, thank you, thank you. But where this provides an opportunity is that you can then expand on what people have said and provide much more detail that can really help guide a sale. So, for example, if someone mentioned, we really love the kids' activities, and that's it in a review, because sometimes things are very sort of just short and sweet. Use the management response tool to actually provide more information about that. Because as I was saying before about the filters, someone's going to be picking up on that review and reading it. They can read the response, and in your response, you tell them more about what's available. That can really help people make a decision and drive a sale. And then my last point is around use guest feedback to help analyse any new revenue strategies that are being implemented. So after implementation, you can measure the impact on guest satisfaction, and you can track that so that your strategies can be adapted and improved according to your guest needs.
Thank you so much, Avril, for all the insights you just provide to us. Is really relevant. So I would like to know if Jackie, Irene, or Alejandro have something that you'd like to add concerning what just Avril told us. Nobody? No? Okay. So I just repeat to the public, let's have people just connecting all the time here. So if you have questions, please write down. Like this, we can request to Jackie, Avril, Irene, and Alejandro to answer any question that you can have concerning guest experience. So,
any question?
Any question, just go ahead. If it's a tricky question, we're gonna double check if you're gonna ask them. So let's go now with Arlene. Welcome, Irene, again. So we have two questions for you here. I'm gonna. Why is it important to empower your staff through guest experience? What's required to enable the empowerment to happen? So I'm gonna repeat both questions. So why is it important to empower your staff through guest experience? What's required to enable the empowerment to happen? All yours, please, Irene. Go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. Earlier on, I mentioned that staff is our associates are really, really key especially in the hospitality where we rely on people a lot to be able to deliver that customer experience. So therefore, the associates that we have at the various properties, hotels, service apartments are really, really key, right? We need to be able to equip them with the necessary skill sets and the know-how. And empowerment is what really makes the difference when something does not go right. So we want to be able to do that because, guests do expect things quite immediate, and, they want their problems to be resolved. They want their issues to be attended to. And I think the last thing that anyone wants to hear is that, hold on, I'll come back to you. I mean, here a customer is upset, a customer is angry about not being able to get on with what they want to do. So therefore, our associates on the ground, they really need to be able to be skillful. And therefore, in order to do that, they need to be empowered to be able to handle that situation right there and then. But having said that, obviously, it does require the maturity of the people, experience as well, to be able to handle a situation that is unraveling at that point in time. For example, a situation could be similar, but because the customer that is presenting that problem to you could be different, it could have different motivations, different issues. So we need to be able to personalize that resolution of that particular issue. So what's required is obviously, a lot of staff training, and I think it has to happen at the policy level as well, so that, staff knows what is the parameters that they need to operate within. And at the same time, is constantly this kind of communication that needs to happen, right, on a daily basis, because there are new cases, there are new experiences, new lessons. So how do we get our staff, to stay on top of things so that they learn from the different scenarios that are happening all the time, so that they can have this repertoire of knowledge as well as experiences to be able to draw upon. So when they meet the next customer that has an issue, they know how to be able to handle that. So there's nothing really prescriptive about this, but I think it has to happen at policy level. We need to be able to allow that to happen. And of course, constantly training and the constant sharing and the renewal of the knowledge as well as experiences, that's key.
We're alive. I can also make mistakes. It's normal. So thank you so much for all the insights, Irene. I totally agree with you. I don't know if Avril or Jackie or Alejandro would like to add something on what Irene just told us. Jackie?
Irene, I was wondering how you actually train them. Do you train them internally, or do you get external training as well, or how do you teach them that? Because I guess it's not an easy thing, especially in some cultures, to be able to be empowered to make decisions.
Yeah, thanks, Jackie, for pointing that out. Culturally, it does differ from country to country. So that's why it's constantly it's important to continually to talk about it. To use storytelling as a method to be able to teach our people, because classroom training is one, right? You can tell them, hey, there's this framework that you can apply, like listen to the customer, think through how do you manage the emotion, then you come up with a solution to that problem. Hey, but it's still a framework, right? But at the end of the day, here you're dealing with a customer who could be different from the customer that was at the hotel yesterday, right? So, and then of course, culturally as well, for example, a country in let's say in Vietnam versus Europe, again, the maturity of the staff is different. So I believe that using storytelling as an approach in your daily ops meeting would help staff understand, hey, this situation, somebody tried that method, and this is how it works with this kind of guest at this kind of level. And of course, that could differ as well to another particular scenario. So it's constantly using storytelling as a method to be able to help our staff level up. Yeah, so there is nothing really prescriptive about this, but I think it's a constantly revolving and evolving approach that we need to use to help our people understand how to be empowered to handle a situation when it goes wrong.
Thank you so much, Irene. Outstanding. Thank you.
Yeah, it's not easy, but we constantly have to try at it. Yes.
And when we speak about a guest experience, is a huge word out there because we can talk about omni-channel, as a lot of REVIEWPRO does. We can talk the guest experience when they arrive to the hotel or they arrive to a destination. And for example, on my side, 21 years working in this industry, what I see that on the hotelier side for the communications and the guest experience because guest experience only when you access the website of a hotel, for example, or an OTA, that's all involved about guest experience. That's something that maybe before a few years ago, 5-10 years ago, people didn't take too much care about it. Right now, it's something that is really necessary. You need to watch how you build your website, how you get all the connectivity and the communication to the guests. And but what I see on my point when we go to the destinations, for example, we see a huge gap at the moment because we have directories on the destinations, but how that guest can empower or have more information. Normally, we don't have websites. We have directories from the destinations that don't help too much the guests. So that is a point that maybe we can cover on the discussion side. I would like to have your opinion, but will stop on this right now. I'll move with the questions. And then on the discussion topic, if everybody likes, I would like to come back for the destinations and how guest experience maybe watching for the future, what will happen. Okay, thank you so much again, Irene, for all your insights. I will come back here. Let's go to our next question. It's for Jackie Douglas, President of hsmai Asia Pacific. Jackie, again, thank you so much to be here with us. I go directly to your questions. So, what do customers expect when they visit your website? I'm gonna repeat my questions. What do customers expect when they visit your website? Jackie, it's all yours. Thank you.
Thank you. I thought I'd sort of cover things that are coming up and that hotels might be watching out for, what they need to be really focusing on next. So we know during the pandemic, people have been ordering products online and in a massive way, right? All of a sudden, people are ordering their groceries online, they're ordering restaurant meals. We all watched a whole lot more demand TV, right? Streaming, YouTube videos. We're all doing a lot more online. So nowadays we're used to websites personalizing things for us. Think of Netflix and Spotify. They're the best examples, right? Where the more you watch or listen, the better the suggestions that the app gives you that you might want to watch next. You know, if you're a child, you'll only get children's rated TV shows. If you watch true crime like me, you'll see a lot more true crime shows on your suggested list. So this is kind of a really good example of where a website can service you better. If you give them data, they're going to service you better. So the more you watch, the better they get at suggesting what you might want to watch or listen to next. So when the Netflix user gets to your hotel website, what do you think they expect? The first time, maybe they expect, a professional website, good quality images, easy to find the information they want, an idea of the experience they're going to have when they get to your property, that sort of thing. So if I go onto your hotel website and I do a search for, say, a week's stay, 2 adults, 2 children, 10th of August, and I check out the images of the family suites, what do you think I expect to see next time I come to your website? If you use a Netflix example, I should see an offer for a family suite package that's valid for the 10th of August and actually is available for the 10th of August for a family, right? All the hoteliers, don't shrink in your seat there, because not many hoteliers are actually doing this very well yet. So don't feel bad, but really that's what people are expecting now when they come to your website. That's probably what you expect when you go to a hotel website. So what is your website showing me? Is it a frictionless, good experience, showing me offers that suit me? It's probably not, to be fair. So, I mean, what if it could? What if it could be showing me a family offer, maybe with a short time lead that you've got to book within a certain amount of time? That would be perfect, wouldn't it? Because that's probably what I'm expecting. But you're probably sending me back either to the home page, or you might be sending me to a page where there's a special offer for 1 or 2 adults for next week, right? Which is not really what I'm looking for. So once I work out that that's not a family offer, which I expected, I'm probably then going to have to go and find the booking engine, and it's a family room, right? So you know what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to scroll down to get to that family room, aren't I, and find that offer that I had before. So maybe you annoyed me more than encouraged me to book. So thank goodness there's some great vendors out there who've created some tools that can help us help our customers book on our website, because the OTAs are getting much better at it, right? They're getting much better at making these good customer experiences and showing people what they want to see. So we've got to start doing this as hoteliers. If we don't, we'll fall back and we'll start losing that share back to the OTAs. So you need to step up your personalization game. Otherwise, your direct booking strategies are not going to go so well. So you might, at the moment, probably what you're doing is you're looking at what customers have been, what pages they've been on your website, and then you're retargeting them. You might be able to retarget them, but where are you sending them? As I said, you're probably sending them to a generic landing page. It's probably the standard most common thing, which might be 2 adults or 1 adult if you're a business hotel, and a 1-night stay or something. So it's completely not what I was looking for. And then they have to go back and try to work out where to find what they wanted before. So the concept of personalization and dynamic content, the idea of this, and we know there's always fancy words coming out in terms for things. So to make it simple, the concept is actually that you automate the content that the user sees when you retarget them. So for my family example, you can send me straight to a landing page that has images of the family suites. It's got a family offer and maybe it would be great if you could make it a family offer that's got a limited time to book, right? So I'm going to go, oh, I better book that. Do what the OTAs do. Only 3 rooms left, right? So some of the vendors who've developed this type of tool are telling us that your return can increase around 25% using this type of automation. So because you're making it so easy for people to book. So maybe you could think about putting something like this in your 2023 budget, because we've got to get on with it and get this done. And you can do it even as a small independent hotel. You don't have to be a big brand. You can do it as a little hotel on your own, a small chain. It's not meant to be a big, enterprise system. It's a small thing, and you can do it. So let's do it.
Thank you so much, Jackie. I totally agree with your insights. Normally, hoteliers, sometimes we can see a lot of independent hotels when you access their websites. Sometimes they're too corporated, even their leisure. They have too many things to write down. And people right now, I'm sorry for what I'm going to say, but it's true. We're lazy. We are normally impacted with images. So if we write down a lot of stuff, we have 4 seconds. 4 seconds maximum to get a perception from the guests when they arrive to your hotel website. So for those 4 seconds that we have, in 4 seconds, we need to have a structure, or at least telling something about your guest experience, your familiar package, if you have a promotion, if you have an experience. So and also all the times direct to the book, because normally we go to the website, we see pictures, don't say nothing. Pictures passing through. Then you have the widget to search the dates that you want to arrive to the hotel. Then you scroll down and starting seeing that, we are a company based in or a hotel, but people already, with most hoteliers, need to do this. I used to work on Travel Click, Amadeus, between 2006 to 2011 in Barcelona. And at that time, we have statistics that 70% of the people that arrives in that time at your website, they already check your hotel and TripAdvisor. They check you in Booking and Expedia and a lot of other places, for example. So when they arrive, they want to check if you have a good price or a good experience, or you have the package they're searching that they didn't find on the OTA. So those 3 points is really, really, I think, on my personal opinion, with my experience, that is key for hoteliers. And also use good image. So please, we have a lot of hotels when you access. It's like what I'm watching here. Why have a beer here in this picture? Or what? People say, what happens? We have also Adam Walsh that say something here before. I just will come back to. Too many hospitality professionals forget that the guest experience starts long before guest arrives at the hotel. Do you agree? Jackie, Avril, Irene, Alejandro, if you have something to say, please go ahead.
Yeah, I saw that comment from Adam as well, and definitely agree with that. I kind of touched on that when I was talking as well, that it's that I think we kind of forget sometimes, but we were just waiting for the person to arrive and that it starts then, but it's actually well before that. And as Jackie said, so much is around going to someone's website or wherever they encounter your brand, that's an experience. So what are they gleaning from that, and how much are you adapting to their preferences and so on? And 100% agree about the website, because and thinking about how people use them these days, because it is all around short, snappy information. And one of the key things is around, is also we see around chat, because now we, like as Jackie was saying, used to going to like Netflix and what they do and they gather your preferences, and also how we use buying anything online these days. I know I go to a website well, first of all, the majority of us are looking at websites on a mobile for a start. So even you might have all that information on your website, but who's going to really look through it and find it? And people now are just looking for a chat, like, I just want to, generally, quite often I just want this one question answered, and And because maybe they've looked in Expedia and they've looked on Booking and they've looked at this. And quite often when you're looking at hotels, I'm just actually researching at the moment to go to Vanuatu, and I've been doing this myself. And quite often you look at a few different websites and you're like, oh, okay, but I don't know, do they have this? And so you go to so you've already got the question in your mind formed, as Jackie was saying, and you go to the website, you think, well, the hotel website's probably got that information. And you go there and you just want to ask if you can just say, hey, do you guys have X? And it can be answered. That's what people want. That's what we're used to now with any kind of website experience. We're so, regardless of demographic as well. It used to be very much, oh, but chats mainly for younger generation, but not anymore. It's everyone's used to it. So we want fast information, and that again feeds into the experience as well, because then you're sort of starting to form your impressions of the experience and what you can expect by the communication that you're having and how easy or not it is to.
Thank you so much, Avril.
Yeah, we do
Jackie?
a little exercise in the training workshops that we do, where we get people to look for two things on their own hotel, and we get them to look on Expedia first or Booking.com, and then we get them to look on their own website and see if they can find the answer to two questions, like, is there a pool or is there a hairdryer in the room, something, a couple of things like that. They always find it faster on the OTA, always. Even the big brands, it's unfortunately, it's easier yeah, be careful.
When we talk about big brands, sometimes if we access a few or those websites, and when we go internally and the hotel website or the London page, I assume a lot of them need to change a lot of things. I don't tell names because I don't want nobody be angry with myself, but we have huge brands that they need to empower the website experience and the mobile experience for the guests. That's a major, even is for the entire chain, or we talk about only for an independent or the London page for the hotel itself. Irene, do you like to add something on those discussions? Or Alejandro? Alejandro, you're normally talking a lot, but today you're not speaking nothing.
The thing is, I'm absorbing a lot of things, and then Jackie's preaching to the choir. Like, I'm gonna discuss the Netflix approach in like 2 seconds. But I think it's so Jackie. So yeah, no, and I completely agree with it. Right. So that let me start with that and set let's just say the expectation. But I think it's interesting to hear that a lot of people are talking about different things, but we're coming to the same point, which is total guest experience, which we haven't dealt with. I'll address some of the things that Avril and Irene mentioned before, but specifically what Jackie just now said is, so you need to start owning the experience. And Adam mentioned, like, experience starts well before people go into hotels, and we have a large hotel audience here. I think that the problem is, and I'm vocal about this, maybe a little bit of also controversial, is Jackie was saying that there's a lot of good vendors, there's a lot of good technology out there, and we tend to think after pandemic that technology will solve all of my issues, right? And I think it's fundamentally a different problem. First of all, you need to understand what is it that you do and then deliver on that promise very well. So I'm one of the ones that says, hey, why build it yourself if there's someone else doing it better than you and it's an expert on this? So a hotel should only be concerned about getting guest experiences and delivering an amazing experience end to end, but not creating the technology to actually engage with clients or even partners, or even delivering a Netflix-like experience. There's technology that will do that for you, right? I think that the prejudice in the past, like we remember being the old days when we were discussing with people, I'm going to build my own PMS, and that seemed like the most silly idea, right? Because there's people that are going to do that, and that's their core business. Your core business is to having people in your hotel and giving them great experiences, right? And doing sentiment analysis and sentiment score. And it's even going to be more important after pandemic. I close with this because fundamentally the traveler has changed, right? After being 2 years in lockdown, you see different cultures with different problems, right? In the US, there's increased GDP, there's retaining spend, and people are just willing to go everywhere. Well, like now in Europe, you're starting to see the start of a recession, and people still want to spend, but they are being clever about what they spend on, right? And there's a whole sentiment about the products and the willingness to spend on that hotels should capture on, right? And then use it to create an awesome guest experience. There's a number of things that we can discuss. I think we have time, but I think yes, the problem is the hotel. First of all, relinquish a lot of the distribution at some point. Like, and I used to work for OTAs, so I've seen this fight from the two sides of the street, and then has never thought about total guest experience and total revenue management, which is something that we'll discuss later as well. So it is time, because that is how you make more money. That is how you actually create loyalty. That is how you actually really personalize and embed within that client. If not, then it's the way of the dodo, right? At some point, yeah, I think Jackie mentioned it quite well, not with his words, but you go into an OTA and you want to find something, there's 25 million things that you can find, right? And that is not a great experience.
Totally agree, Alejandro. That's a good thing about Alejandro. When he starts speaking, he speaks a lot of good things. Thank you, Ale. Also, we have a comment here from Maroon. Thank you, Maroon, for all your comments. For all the public, if you have any questions, please write down. I got to show up this here, and we'll make sure that we can discuss any point. So here we have major OTAs have some really wide range of data analytics that can really be very useful for hotels to build it specifically from user experience data and booking experience. In many cases, this data is not reaching to the right person, so they'll build on it. So
let me just very quick comment on that. So Maroon, they have a lot of data, but they use it for their own benefit. Right, so that let's be clear about this. And I'm friends with OTAs and I work with OTAs, right? So don't get me wrong. But the thing is, hotels need to start producing their own data as well. So if you're not a data-driven business, you're going to have problems.
Totally agree with you. You need data. Hotels need to understand where their public coming from, who is watching them, what's the public they have on Facebook and Instagram, they have on LinkedIn, who watch the main marketing. And I think that the most important thing that maybe major hotels don't do, major, it doesn't matter if they are chains or they are independent, if they're corporate or they're leisure or they're both of them, is check their PMS data. Okay, you cannot check maybe for the last 2 years, but check 2018, double check from in those years where the people is really coming from. And please, for your receptionist, or if you still don't have a channel manager connected to the PMS to get all the data, and you still have your receptionist or your reservation agent doing a data enter in your system, remember, if you have a lot of Afghanistan, you need to train your receptionist, or you need to train your. I tell Afghanistan people because it's the first country that arrives when we have a lesson in the PMS. So that is why. Okay, just to be clear here. So normally we have Afghanistan country, city, doesn't matter. So that kind of information is really important, even for the guest experience and how you're going to expand your budget in digital marketing. For example, to get data. So you have hotels have a lot of data, but sometimes they don't have it's not about concerning logic, or they don't have the time, or they don't have the people to do that for them. And maybe they can have that help from different companies. So let's go to the next question. That is for Alejandro Gomez Losada from Holibob. So Alejandro, what does the guest experience look like in the future, and how we can optimize it? I got to repeat the question. What does the guest experience look like in the future, and how we can optimize it? All yours.
Thank you for that, Vinicius. And I think I'm gonna play to the tune of things that Jackie, Avril, and Irene mentioned before. So first of all, and I agree with Adam. So the guest experience doesn't start through the front door, right? So the funnel starts way before that. I think if you look at, or if you take cue from what big players are doing, like the recent changes by Airbnb on their categories. So that means that they're understanding that the consumer is starting at inspiration. So after pandemic, people are trying to discover where to go and why, rather than having a set idea of what they want to do and just book that, right? So it's becoming less of a transactional exercise and more of a like discovery lifestyle exercise, right? I think that's where we have to capitalize. The other thing is hyper personalization. So I agree completely with Jackie that travel or someone within travel should be able to deliver, let's just say this kind of Shopify, Netflix mashup, right? Because enabling a lot of other stakeholders to become sellers and deliverers or fulfillers of travel products. That's one. And the other thing is it has to be personalized and contextual enough for me to make a decision. So my attention span is so short that the guest experience has to be so quick, so actually hyper personalized for me, so I don't have to think, right? So I can take my time to do the extra discovery or even read through things after I've actually made the purchasing decision, right? So, and that's where new distribution, new channels, and a mobile first experience. I agree with Avril. Like data shows that 70% of bookings in travel now start on mobile worldwide. So they don't all end up in mobile. So that is also a good thing. Is if you don't have a mobile responsive website where someone can start in mobile and then finish, or like let's just say hand off to desktop, then you have a problem. Like you're going to have a bounce rate of 90%. So everything that you're spending on Google and everything you're putting on OTAs as commissions was worth nothing if you don't optimize that part of the funnel. And then for me, you mentioned it yourself, Vinicius. I think the old thing about generating tons and tons of content is doesn't make any sense anymore. Like the content should be optimized for those short amounts of attention spans that the people have. They should be super contextualized, and they should also be delivered in a way that can be consumed in the device that they're using, but also addressing those different stages that the guest goes through, right? So I'm looking for inspiration. At some point when you're doing inspiration, and there's a couple, I was talking to someone in APAC the other day. There's a company that's doing something very cool, which is working with Nat Geo photographers and building itineraries with them being the coordinators, right? So they build their own like experience, and all of the content they generate is real time and video based. So works great on Instagram as a story, works great on TikTok, because the experience will actually be consumed through those channels in the future. People are going to less and less go into web to desktop and just punch a URL and try to find something. Like things are going to be contextually served to people, right? Again, context for us being a key word at Holibob, right? And then curating a lot of things. So it is relevant and important for me at that period in time and for what I want to do. So that is total guest experience. And for hotels, because again, there's a large hotel audience in this call, I think that when we talk about experiences, you fulfilling the needs of a consumer every time you have a touch point with them. And that doesn't mean necessarily to put products or selling something or cross-selling, because I think we've understood cross-selling wrong. So if I'm buying a flight right now, most likely, I don't want to buy an experience at that point, right? Because there is a time when I'm going to come and revisit what I'm going to do at destination. And there's a ton of data that shows that experiences, for example, what we do are bought within the 72-hour window of traveling or consumption, or even at destination, right? So why would you show me an experience, or why would you take the shopping cart experience from an OTA if I'm not going to buy something at that point? It wastes my time, right? So that has to be fundamentally revisited. And the hotels then also should try and keep the guests within the same ecosystem. So for me, is imagine this flow, and we all said it. So you have great reviews, someone decides to stay with you, they like the content, they go to the hotel, all of a sudden they need to do something at destination, right? First obvious touch point, or like when I was little, someone would go into the concierge, right? And say, hey, I want to do this. So the concierge has 2 days, two options today. And I think that it's a big challenge. Either he takes his Rolodex or his phone and says, yeah, I know this guy. He does this and this and this. So I can put you through, or I can book it for you, or goes into an OTA and do it, which is, again, a loss of time, because he should have a tool that allows him to do that for the client and also capture some of that extra ancillary revenue for the hotel. And I think that's where there's a lot of opportunity, right?
Thank you so much, Ale. I love all the insights you always you bring light to darkness when you come here. So thank you so much. I will also would like to thank all the attendants for all the interactions that we're having today. So that is great also. Right now, we finished the first round of questions. I just remind the public, in case you have questions or you have doubts, please write down. We're gonna ask you our panelists today and to bring light to any questions or doubt you may have. Anybody wants to add something on top? Alejandro, Irene, Avril, Jackie, or we'll move forward to the discussions that we're going to have a few topics right now that we can discuss. It's up to you. And we move forward. Yes. Okay.
Just
Yes.
a point about the
Irene,
last
yes,
question,
please.
right? Just now you mentioned about, how does or what does guest experience look like in the future? I think with the trending technology like metaverse and NFTs, I think a lot of brands are already jumping on that as well. So like Citizen M, for example, they have already created a metaverse in, I think, Decentraland or something like that. And so it's interesting to watch this space because I think it's very useful, definitely for like customer engagement, to be able to be on the top of mind of our customers. But I'm still not quite sure in terms of the actual ROI at this point in time, but it's really interesting to be able to watch this space. So I'm not sure what you guys think.
I agree with you. I'm not sold on metaverse actually, because metaverse I think can become quickly into multiverse, right? The problem is you have to create so many metaverses that are unique to you that, like, it's the same thing with apps. Everyone thought that everyone would jump on at the opportunity of apps. Actually, hotels have built apps, and it's like, do you imagine someone having 500 apps just to look at each single hotel? It's mind-boggling. So I think metaverse is very young. I wouldn't like it to become like NDC for airlines, right? So, oh, it's the next great thing. We should all use it, but then we all do it differently. And there has to be an ultimate value. So I'm still not sold on the idea of what is the value for the consumer. Although I'm the dying age of travelers, right? So I'm 81, so I'm following that. So maybe the future travelers, we said, will find more value on the metaverse. But as for now, yeah, there's no ROI. So if you're thinking it as an ROI experience or an ROI project, then no, it's more of a marketing and a brand voice and a brand thing that you could do with metaverse. Completely.
I totally sorry. I would like to, as we start the discussion topics, that is something that I want you to go in. So a metaverse, I think it's pretty cool, but it's more for young people. Maybe they use more, in my personal opinion. It's very young, as Alejandro just told us. We need to see what will happen. We are seeing a lot of big brands go into metaverse. However, we have a lot of different metaverse that we could use. It's like he just said, that we got to be Marvel, and sometimes we have Captain America and Hulk coming on board. Sorry, I'm just joking here, but but to be very honest, we still have hotels that don't use a channel manager. We still have hotels that don't have a booking engine. So and that is technology that's already on the field for the last 20 years. I think for the branding, and as Alejandro said, it's maybe it can be awesome. I just look more metaverse, maybe, I'm not sure, for an entire destination. Before you go, you want to double check and not using the map. Maybe you want to run out in a 3D or the VR, go into the metaverse, or walking around, see what you can see, take notes. Maybe for an entire destination, maybe. I think something that has been created and come from the gaming side of the world. So it's just part of the gamification that we are going through on the metaverse. But let's see. It's so young. I have a lot of people telling in 5 years from now or 4 years from now, metaverse will change the entire industry. Personally, I don't believe it. I don't believe. I think it's more a marketing. People still need people. And I don't see people because we have some places that where you have a metaverse, maybe you can pay to be in a hotel in the metaverse. I don't know. And my point of view, we never will pay to be in a hotel or in a destination in the metaverse, but we don't know. Human beings are devolution is. I don't know. We need to double check. Jackie, Avril, what is your opinion concerning that?
I think it's exciting. At the moment, it's a bit of fun, right?
Yeah.
But like any technology, what are we going to use it for? You know, I'm sure the mobile phone wasn't invented for us to be making hotel bookings on. So let's see what it turns into in the end. it's exciting to watch.
Avril?
Yeah, I probably echo Jackie's kind of feelings that I think, and like what you were saying, that sometimes we get really super excited about certain things, but we're sort of overlooking things that we can be using right now. So I think, utilizing the technology that exists right now to make impact is kind of is probably a better priority at this point in
Sure.
time.
I totally agree with you. Tomorrow we're going to have a panel on travel tech that is going to be dedicated to metaverse, going to be dedicated to NFTs, will be dedicated for destinations, smart destinations, because right now we have a lot of things concerning smart destination, but we're going to discuss that tomorrow. But Irene, I'm sorry but how you think that NFT can apply to tourists, for example? Right now, I don't have that so clear in my mind. Maybe you have an opinion that you want to share. When I check for NFT, for example, I'm thinking how we can apply that on tourists. We have a lot of people already talking about that, but I'm not a specialist in that side. Maybe you can bring some light for us.
Well, I'm still learning about this space, but NFT in itself, I believe it has to have a utility. Otherwise it's just to me like just a digital thing that doesn't have any value. So it has to create value. So for example, maybe if you have a loyalty program, for example, you may want to look into using NFT to maybe it's a membership card, or it comes with certain value added items within the NFT itself. Then the customers can actually use it in exchange for something, or it could be a membership card or something like that, but it has to contain value. That's
I think Bini, there's something interesting in this, and Irene, I think hits the note quite well. So there are already companies exploring NFT or tokenization within travel. So we know TravelX in Latin America, for example. I think that initially the value that you can provide is that because tokenizing a travel product makes it very flexible, right? So you don't have the legacy problems with travel, especially within flights and hotels, where you're so concerned about cancellation policies and reuse of that product, right? So let me give you a couple of examples, and this is from a project I'm talking to, which I find quite fascinating. So technically, I could buy a flight, and the problem now for flights, or even for hotels, has been that if I want to make a change, if I want to make an amend, if I want to cancel, it's a nightmare. And it needs a lot of fulfillment, right? You need customer support, multilingual, based in different time zones and everything. With tokenization, potentially, what you could do is kind of a self-serve experience, and we're talking about guest experience, right? So if I buy a flight and then I need to change it because I don't want to use it, my good friend Vinicius is going to use it, then the tokenize is not personal. So I own the token, but it's not under my name, right? So initially, so it's not assigned to a human being. So I could actually say, oh, by the way, now it's not me traveling, it's another person, right? And you can swap it. Even you could create a secondary market where I bought a flight, I don't need it anymore. And I can say, hey, I have a ticket on a seat for Sydney to Barcelona, and I'm not going to use it. Who actually needs to do that? And if there's a lot of potential uses, because there could be another traveler that wants it, so I just do an exchange through the digital wallet that enables the NFT token. The actual airline could use this as a revenue management tool, because they could say, oh, I'm sold out that way. Vinicius has a ticket that he bought for $500, but now we're selling at $1,500. I could potentially tell you, I'll buy it for you for $1,000 and resell it at $1,500, and I'm making $500 extra. And NFT allows you to do that, because you don't have to go through the pain of changing the user, changing the details, changing everything, right?
That is really nice.
So you can do that today with the technology, right? Technically, it's like owning a crypto asset, technically.
Yes.
I can exchange. You can exchange it with peers, and potentially in the future, you're opening up to a complete P2P secondary market for travel. So I just bought 10 rooms in Barcelona for World Mobile Congress next year. So I can do that today, right, in a hotel. And I could turn it into an NFT, and then all of a sudden say, hey, by the way, I have 10 rooms for the most sought out date in the year in Barcelona. So if you want this, I can make money out of it. So potentially there's a lot of things that you can do, right?
After that, we just need to see if with NFT we will be able to resell that and don't be an issue for hoteliers. That is pretty nice one that you just said, but maybe can be a big headache for hotels. I mean, lose a
Well,
lot of
the thing
money
is,
on this
it begs
transaction stuff.
fundamentally it begs the question of, do we need to rethink our hotel KPIs, right? So if you're selling rooms as a future, right? So you can sell them with dates, but you could also potentially say you're just buying rooms, you're just buying allotment. The way the old operators did, you just buy a block of rooms.
Awesome.
So you could, but then you wouldn't be worrying about occupancy every day because the night is sold, right? It's just the execution and the consumption of that night that's going to be a problem.
That is a different point of view. You just bring light that explode my mind right now. Whoa, I'm just thinking, wow, we have a huge market out there just coming on. Just we need to be take a look at it and don't lose the track on this points. Thank you so much, Ali, for all the insights. So I have here a question or a discussion that is really important from Avril Carter. Just she write down here. And Avril, you just tell me, how do hotels get corporate sales teams engaged with guest satisfaction data? So this is a big point, because normally when we talk about guest satisfaction, normally we are all the time thinking on the B2C side of the guest sets, but we have a corporate side that's really important that maybe don't come through all the time. So Avril, bring some light to us, please.
Yeah, sure. And also, I think corporate sales, traditionally, we tend to think about guest experience and all that kind of thing is very much tied to operations and analysing that. And then, as you said, sort of tied to things like the experience on the website, or how we can change that to drive leisure business or direct business and so on. But yeah, the corporate sales side of things is an area of opportunity, I suppose, because you've got corporate sales teams that are still operating in a relatively traditional way in terms of having contact with corporate clients. But it's really important to have like a really good understanding of specifically how those guests are finding the experience, and whether you can help that to obviously turn that around to drive sales. So yeah, there's a few different ways that that hotels can do that, and just really basic things like sharing the information with the sales teams. Make sure that they have access to your guest satisfaction data when they can be automated reports. You can filter results and see information specific to a corporate client now, so you can see filters that are connected to the PMS that can show market segment, but also really specific corporate clients. So you can segment your feedback results, for example, based on your specific corporate clients, so that your sales team are sort of keeping track of the satisfaction of their key accounts, rather than just sort of having like, here's our overall guest satisfaction. They can see something that's very specific to what means more to them. And you can even set up really cool automated alerts now, so that people can be alerted around something that's very specific to a corporate account. So, for example, it may be you've just won a new contract or a new tender for a new corporate client, and you can set up alerts so that when someone has checked out or someone's in house and is not happy, and they're from a certain corporate, that can be alerted to whoever it is you want it to be, so you can customize the workflow as to who needs to know about that and action it. So, if I had a brand new corporate and they were really key, I definitely want to know that kind of information straight away. And if I was the salesperson looking after that corporate client, I'd want to know how they're tracking. So yeah, having access to that information is really key. And it can also help even with things like RFPs. We see this, we hear this all the time from clients that use it. They have said we've used the information that comes from our guest feedback. We produce reports that are specific to corporate client, and we take them into the corporate clients when we're renegotiating our contracts, because we can share the success of what we're delivering based on specific data around their guests, so they can show that information, and that can be really useful. It can even be used for things like spotting things that are very specific to a corporate or even a certain market segment. We had a great example of this in the last few years of a client. There was a group of hotels in London. It was like a business corporate type of hotels, and they spotted through their feedback that one of their key new corporate clients were not happy generally, and when they drilled into the detail, they found that a lot of the feedback was around having a lack of working space where they could get together. So like group working space, so in the lobby or somewhere like that, there was nowhere for them to go. And it was very sort of specific to this corporate account that's the way they like to work when they travel. They like to get together. And so they were able to see that and actually put it on their roadmap to make changes to adapt to this particular thing. And they were able to then go back to this corporate client and say, hey, look, we addressed this, we've made changes. But then they also found that was very specific, not just to that corporate client, but to that part of the industry. So the corporate client was actually linked in. And so they found that a lot of other similar companies were the same. They all have that same ethic of getting together and working collaboratively when they're traveling. And so they were able to not only go back to their existing client and say, hey, look, we've listened and we've made changes, but they were also then being able to go back as a corporate sales team. They could go back and touch maybe businesses that they had lost previously. It gave them an excuse to get back in touch with them and say, hey, this is some of the cool stuff we've been doing for we know that this is important for your sector, and these are some of the things that we've done. So it kind of can help reignite a sales conversation and so on. So lots of really, really interesting stuff that you can do with guest feedback, very specific to corporate sales.
Thank you so much, Avril. Because as I said before, normally we always think on the guest experience on the B2C, but never we talk about for the B2B. So the point that you said on the discussion, it's outstanding. Thank you so much. Irene, Jackie, Alejandro, something that you want to add? If not, we have some comments from the public that would like to share with you, and then we'll move forward with everyone.
Okay, that's fantastic. If you're a salesperson, I'd love to have that, and get access to it straight away. So you can fix problems, right? You can be the hero.
Yeah, that's true. And during the stay also, I think one of the points that Avril, it's important because corporate accounts, when we're talking about maybe independent hotels are different, but we want to talk about chains, have an issue with corporate can make you lose a big contract. So that can be a tricky point. So the guest experience for the B2B side also is something that we need to track very closely. I totally agree with Avril. Thank you so much, Avril, again. So I will share with this Adam Walsh. Just said before, we're coming back to NFTs and metaverse a little bit. So don't let NFTs, metaverse, and other tech novelties distract from the core of hospitality. Provide a wonderful, lasting, and unique experience that your guests will talk to their family and friends about. Word of mouth is still one of the most powerful ways to drive lasting growth. Totally agree, Adam. I think I want to have the opinion for the panelists, but I agree with you.
I would say word of social is important, right? So let's remember that within travel, through all products, brand awareness is less than 30%, right, for each like independent travel sector. So there are a couple more recognizable brands, but all throughout, let's just say consumer base, people still don't have brands as top of mind. So word of mouth, but now it's word of channels, word of social is where you're going to interact with your consumers. So that is very, very key. And I agree. Vinicius and I were on events, so I'm telling an incident. So a number of years ago in Colombia, and I asked a question to the revenue management at a very large chain of hotels, and I said, hey, why are you not owning more of your like direct distribution, and why don't you do payment methods, right? Because like that was a big problem at the point. And why don't you internalize your offering? And he basically just gave me the same response as Adam did, which is, hey, my core business is having rooms and getting people to sleep in them and them having a great time. And anything else I'm going to do with other people that know it better than me. So it was fantastic. It was a fantastic answer, right? So
we have also here Amir Ismaili. If I tell some pronunciations wrong, I'm sorry. Uh, I do my best here. So, Amir, I think hotels need to use more attractions to attract tourists. Some of them are virtual attractions, and some of them are real structures. Yes, no, it depends. Depends a lot on location. Depends if it's a resort. Concerning the online, of course, for the new generations and for the nomads, I think that's my opinion. I think that for sure. I totally agree with you, Amir, Jackie, Avril, Irene. Any point here that you want to that you want to tell something, or I move forward in the next one. I move forward the next one. Okay.
Yeah,
So
next one.
okay. So we have also an Al Golden Corporation Group. They would like to have our need or kind and rich experience and advices. If you need anything, you just can reach our CMO now on Travel Tech. That is Natalia Silva, and of course we can give a hand. Normally, I provide. I don't like to provide free consultancy, but we do, and we do a lot. So we always try to help the industry grow. That's why we create Travel Tech at the end. It's really to empower and knowledge, empower people, because people a lot of time don't have the opportunity to have the panelists that we have and the experience that we have here with a lot of the people, the great experience that we have here at the moment. So yes, if any need, we will try to help for sure. So let's go to the next point here. I go with Alex from Holibob. That he just a point of a discussion that I think is very interesting. Total revenue management. What is that? How can we start using it to our advantage? So I will
It's
repeat the question.
it's a fair comment. So you want to repeat it and then
Okay, I'll move forward. Total revenue management. What is it? How can we start using it to our advantage? So it's all yours. Let's go.
thank you. So basically, I can give you a textbook definition of total revenue management, right? So optimizing all revenue streams and then just thinking every department siloed, which seems to be still a problem within the hotels, right? So I worked for hotels for about 10 years, and you cannot still see kind of an aligned strategy as to generating revenue, which is yeah, daunting. I think that if you think about it, the hotel has a lot of revenue generating opportunities that don't sit within the hotel. Like we were just getting a question asked on experiences or attractions. And at Holibob, we do work with a number of hotels and we work with other travel brands that are actually thinking about the hotel potentially being the output or the gateway for people actually buying experiences. And we're doing it very contextually and very successfully. I think the hotel needs to think outside of the brick and mortar and starting to get revenue opportunities within the hotel, right? And that's where like the definition of this whole chat today on smart destination should be smart destination, smart hotel. The hotel should be so embedded in that experience and kind of capturing all the revenue that they can, or even enabling like a local supplier. I was talking to a hotel here in Barcelona, and they were working with a local operator, and they've actually come to a co-op opportunity, and they're both making money, and they're both delivering great consumer experiences. And it doesn't take magic or like an MBA to do that. It's just understanding how your business works and how your consumer is going to get to you, and why is it that people will trust if they're staying with you and they've chosen to stay with you and you're giving a great experience to adopt or take other things and you can make money on it, right? And compared to 20 years ago, we today have the technology to make that seamless, right? It's not as difficult as before. You don't need 7,000 APIs. You don't need a back office to manage it. It's like a simple SaaS solution can help you do that. It's more about thinking, what is it that I'm providing to the consumer? If I'm providing context and I'm providing them information to kind of do an end-to-end in destination or in product experience, then generating all of these ancillary opportunities, or even bringing, let's call it bringing the concierge to the digital age, is at the hotel is a no-brainer, right? Because again, you want to maximize, it's not lifetime value of that client, because the hotel should be thinking about, hey, this client is staying with me today. Like most likely he can stay within the brand, so you're thinking brand as well, but the hotel needs to think they're staying in my property for this 3 days. Most likely they're not going to come back to my property. So outside of corporate business or uh, uh, leisure, then the digital nomads are going to be jumping on and off from different properties. They're not going to come back to the same one because it's about discovery. It's about doing something new. So you only have a very limited short of time to actually make a lot of um, to make money with them, right? Or to make them spend with you. So I think if we have that holistic approach, then total revenue management is possible. And if you see some of the things that current revenue management systems are doing is they're trying to go to total revenue management, right? They're getting top of funnel data to understand how much people are spending on flights and trains and looking at the whole experience, right? To understand what a guest can potentially generate as revenue and how do you take a piece of the action, right?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ali, for your insights. We have also here a comment from Alali. Sorry, I'm really sorry if I express myself the names wrong. I don't do that if proposed. I just try to. Sorry, Allah. Thank you for your comment. He asked us, does Google reviews affect guest experience? I I don't will answer this. I will let here the specialist tell and answer him. Avril.
Yeah, well, I guess the comment more is that Google reviews reflect more the guest experience than necessarily affect it. They might, but they would affect expectations and perceptions. So if someone's reading Google reviews about somewhere, then they're going to have a certain set of expectations based on other people's experiences. So yeah, obviously, but yeah, while we're talking about Google, it's obviously key to manage your guest feedback on Google. It's such a public space and it's becoming more and more and more prevalent. It's seen a huge growth in Google reviews and seeing them front and center and having an understanding of what people are talking about there is really important to manage that, to manage it. But yeah, I'd say that no, they're not really necessarily affecting their experience. The experience comes down to obviously when people are communicating with you and staying and so on. But yeah, really key to have a good understanding of what your Google reviews say about you as a business.
I totally agree with you, Avril, and also I think reviews are key. We still have people that maybe think that pricing are key. No, pricing are not key. If you're a cheap hotel, they are key. Guest experience, package of experience, and reviews. Principally, reviews is key. If you have a hotel that you're going to pay $500 and you have another one for $600 a night, as an example, but the reviews for the 500, you have, I don't know, 6.7, 7.5, and you have the other one for $100 more, and you have 9.2 reviews or have 4.9 stars. For sure, people will go to the reviews. I think reviews normally on our industry has a really impact that a lot of hoteliers around the world don't maybe they don't take care of those communications between the client and the reviews, and that is key to get reservations, and that is key to solve the problem. And if we got a bad review, I saw things that I understand that we have guests in hotels that sometimes there can be a pain, and they can write down a lot of stuff that maybe is not true, but that will impact in your hotel, that will impact in your reservation. So it's key that you try to solve that issue. That is key that you answer your comments. It doesn't matter from where they're coming from. There's for Google, it's for TripAdvisor, Trivago, Booking.com, Expedia, and so on. You need it. It's key that you keep, and even when you answer and you give them a solution, it's in a way that you fight back if you have a bad customer just want to annoy or give you a bad review because they did something small happen, and they can make that huge. That it's really important that you can feel that support as a client when you're going to do reservation. as a B2C, not as a B2B. Thank you so much, hsmai. Sorry for the
Yeah, I
beginning.
just want to add something
Sure,
about
Irene,
that.
please go ahead. Please.
Reviews are also about the community, right? So it's the community of fellow travelers that are writing the reviews. So as just as a general tendency, customers and travelers tend to trust people, rather than the brand itself. I mean, as a general sense. So that's why reviews are really, really key. And we need to, as hoteliers, we have to watch this space and we have to manage those reviews very well because of is a community created content, and that has a very high trust value. So what I've also observed in my own amongst my own brands and the data that I'm seeing as well, Google reviews have also jumped in terms of ranking as the highest. I think it's even taken or surpassed TripAdvisor in terms of volume, right? So booking.com is still number one. That's one thing in terms of attracting high volumes of review, but Google has definitely jumped a lot and is even TripAdvisor is still important, but Google has definitely risen in terms of importance. So definitely people are also using Google to search as well. So, and naturally they will go and read the reviews about that service provider. So definitely, yes, Google reviews does affect how we deliver our guest experience, and we need to be able to manage the reviews well.
Thank you so much, Irene. We have another comment here from our public. That is James Yao. Thank James for your insights here. Having a good understanding of the guest segments will be key to provide this for the ancillary revenue for sure. One great way is to get this information from your guests through an structured survey, a way towards total revenue. Thank you so much. If somebody has something that wants to say concerning segmentation, I totally agree. We need to understand from where the client is buying us, where the client is watching us, and how is the behavior dependent on the channel, on the segmentation. It could be a social media or partner or an OTA.
I would say the only thing on this, sorry, James, is that for me, survey is not the best way, right? So let's think about it even more strategically. So if you're, it can differ on the channel. Apologies, but you already know that let's just say I'm booking your hotel or your product. So you already know I booked it. You know where I'm coming from. You know what language I speak. You know that I'm coming with my family. So you don't need a survey. You already have the data that you need to personalize whatever you want to put in front of me, right? There are some legal implications, and one of the things that we're working on is we're working constantly with lawyers to say, hey, what is the actual limit into trespassing GDPR versus things that you actually need to fulfill a booking and then provide a very contextual product. Let me give you an example. We were doing skip the line tours the other day in France, and we have weather data. We know how many people it is. We know if there's infants, because we are actually doing that to fulfill the booking. So I really don't need to actually send you a survey that's going to take me time and that I don't have, right? So to Jackie's earlier point, Netflix is not sending you a survey every single time you see a series, right? They're using machine learning and AI to understand, okay, he's seen this, he's seen this, he's seen this. Most likely he's going to see this next. And because he has 3 profiles or a family, or if they have 7 profiles, they're actually not paying the subscription that they should be paying, that kind of stuff. So I think we need to be more creative as how we think things. So survey is a good first step, but we should go and be more proactive, like get in front of the consumer in the journey, rather than expecting the consumer to do the job for us, which is give us the data so then we can go back and cook whatever we want to cook for you, right?
Yeah,
So,
I mean, the
James,
front desk can ask
go
you
ahead,
that question,
Jackie.
right? The front desk
Yes,
can
please.
ask you your
Go
purpose
ahead,
why you're
Jackie, please.
here and to segment you. So yeah, that's probably an easy way to do it to help service them while they're on the property.
So, James, just aspect that we want to know the objectives of the trip, spiritual sites, museums, theaters, details, and available on the big data. I think, James, I will answer to you in this. Maybe this, if hoteliers need to think all of this is too much. As Alejandro says, since Jackie and maybe all of the panelists that we are here. Um, we need to sell rooms when we talk about hotels. I think this kind of spiritual sites, museums, theaters, we're talking a destination guest experience, and that point, if we think on a destination, right now we have directories, but at the end they're not transactional and they're not providing the experience on the correct way. In my point of view, maybe this kind of thing needs to be on the destination website. Of course, if hotel is near to a tourist point, or if they're near to any spiritual sites, theaters, of course, hotels can provide that kind of information, or maybe create a package. Or you stay here, we're going to have a show in this theater, and you can. We're next. Here you have your ticket, and here you have your room. Here you have the experience to buy this, or the museums, or anything else that is near to the hotel. But request for hotels to provide all that information, I think maybe is not is not their core business. This is the core business that maybe is more political things, that we need more interaction from the Secretary of Tourism of different destinations to make this happen. So to make this happen, also it's to provide in not only the information, but also in providing a way where if I access a destination website, can be transactional, or can give me direct way, not just tell me, here have the website. Oh, you can contact here. So normally destination websites don't help too much on my point of view. Not all of them. I'm generally. Somebody wants to say something, because we're finishing.
Yeah, I think when especially hotels using online check-in can ask questions like that, because that's a really good time to find out where do they want to go, especially if you do market those things. If you sell them, passes to the museum or theatre tickets or whatever, it's a good time to ask them, because they're just on their way to the hotel. But really, yeah, I probably wouldn't do it as a survey, but if you're using an online check-in app, that's a nice way to do it.
This is a nice one. So James, here
Bini,
just
no,
yes,
let me address this. So James,
please go ahead.
before Bini reading it, I can tell you that you can do that already. You don't have to go to Klook, Peak, Get Your Guide of Viator to do this. I would say it's more, there's rounding up of a lot of things that were discussed today. It's about you having a culture and a strategy to total revenue management and creating great experience that and you start working with data, and then also that you enable people to actually sell the experiences or anything else. Like, this is not like any other ancillary product that you want to put. So that you enable the team to do that through technology, through training, through the actual strategy of saying, hey, we want to have an amazing experience for the consumer. This is yours to make, right? And your team is your most valuable asset. So you should actually empower them to do that. So even with the shortages of labor that we have in some countries for travel, I think it's good that if you train them and you retain them, you have a very valuable asset, right?
Another point here, just want to point, James, for example, answering your comment. For example, if we think in REVIEWPRO that have an omni-channel that you can connect, and they have their own chatbot that's really artificial intelligence. If you go to the website and you have that kind of tool, most of those questions you're going to find directly asking to the bot. So this is already solved as an issue. When I talk about that, maybe the hotel cannot provide all that information, principally if we speak about independent hotels. For them, it's more difficult to provide that kind of information. However, if you have artificial intelligence with a chatbot, maybe all those things will be there. And if they interact with a chatbot, you're going to have all the questions. First of all, we're finishing. Thank you to all of the attendants for all the great interactions that I have. Thank you to Jackie, to Avril, Irene, Alejandro. Just to let you know, tomorrow, 4 o'clock, Singapore, we're going to have the future of the tourist, smart destination, gamifications, metaverse, NFT. So we're going to have a panel dedicated for destinations of the travel industry with huge professionals in the area. So I invite everybody to be here with us tomorrow. And right now, I'm going to give all of you a few seconds to say goodbye and thank you so much to everybody to be here. Jackie,
Thank you, everybody.
Avril,
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me. Great to meet you all. And thanks for everyone that joined.
Irene,
Thank you so much for the insights. It's been very helpful as well. I hope the audience also had a lot of takeaways.
thank you so much, Irene. Alejandro,
Thank you, Vini. Thank you, Travel Tech. Thank you, Jackie, April, and Irene. So this has been amazing, and hope the audience is seeing the travels come back, so that you're maximizing that, right? So we should all be happy about that.
thank you so much, everybody. We have more Travel Tech Asia Pacific tomorrow and Friday. So we didn't finish yet. So we have more information, more culture, more education to provide to our to our trade globally. Thank you very much. I love this panel, and I hope have you here
Thank
the
you.
next year again. Cheers. Bye bye, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.